Boys and girls, it is about that time. Keep your hands up and keep your head on a swivel. The Haymakers and Submissions podcast is here. We woke up and chose violence today. Stick and stay for combat sports talk at its finest. Coming your way now.
Welcome, everybody, to the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. My name is Dave Brzezinski Drew. This is Michael Mills, better known as Chops. Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2026. We're having a year in review here for 2025 and kind of look ahead to 2026. Chops, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Welcome back, my friend.
How you been, man? Yeah, right. Happy to be back. Life, just life, family. You know, the holidays, everything got in our way. You know, but it's good to be back. And it was kind of good to be back, or take that time off. We got to balance, recenter, look at boxing, martial arts, MMA on a different level, whatever have you, to see what's going on, and now come back and talk, you know, and just get back into hitting the ground running, just being excited about being here, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, we're going to talk about 25. We're going to do a pretty in-depth review, and then we're going to talk about what we'd like to see in 26, what we're kind of excited for, et cetera. A lot of things we want to talk about today, but 25 was an interesting year. You know, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Like if you, in terms of boxing alone, you know, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like this was an outstanding fight year, 1 being this was awful, what would you give it, maybe roughly?
I'm going to give it a 10, but it's not strictly because of the fights we saw, but the accumulation of the fights we saw, what was going on outside the ring, what happened. You had a lot of things that we got to talk about this year, and we're going to get into it, what we got to talk about that didn't have anything to really do with what was going on inside the ring. We could do a show, honestly, about topics that were just outside the ring that had nothing to do with what was going inside the ring. And they could be just as interesting. You know what I mean? They could be just as interesting.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I would say I would give it a 7.5. It was a very good.
Okay.
You know, and I'll when we answer some of the questions coming up, I think you'll see why. But it was all in all, it was a pretty damn exciting year. We got to see some really good fights that we waited for a while. We got to see some that maybe were a little bit surprising, but we'll dig into that coming up. So let's review 2025, my friend.
Okay. Well, all right, man. All right, so we're looking at it. Where do we want to start? All right, where would we want to start? First question I'm looking at, you know what I mean, as we go on, what was your surprise fight for whatever reason? What fight surprised you, Drew, the most during 2025? And if there was a couple, it is what it is. But what fight or fights surprised you the most?
And I'll preface this by saying to the audience, we didn't pre-screen our answers here or anything like that. This is all
correct
off the cuff here. So my surprise fight was April 26th. Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn won the first fight. And I say that because I anticipated Ben either getting beat down and knocked out or Eubank Jr. getting caught and KO'd maybe early, and none of the above happened. It was just a start to finish, went the distance, but they didn't slow down. I mean, these guys, you would have thought with that much animosity and then them throwing haymakers the way they did in that fight that someone would have dropped, and they didn't. And it went the distance. I was really pleasantly surprised by that fight. I wanted to watch it. I was expecting a good fight. I didn't expect a great fight, and I thought it was a great fight.
Okay, all right. So that's what you went with, Conor Benn. Okay, Conor Benn and Eubanks. Now, when I look at it, and it's kind of crazy, and I thought, just knowing you and knowing how we get down, we very well may have a lot of the same answers. And at first, that was mine, but I switched it up a little bit. But I had 3, and I narrowed it down to these 2: Roach versus Tank. That really shocked me because remember, Roach was moving up in weight, right? Roach was moving up in weight. Roach was the underdog. We knew he was the better tactician and he had a better skill set, but we also thought about that. I'm looking at King. I can't think of his name, who Tank end up getting in the 5th round? Wilson, Frank, what was it? Wilson? I can't remember.
Frank Martin.
Frank Martin. Okay, we knew Martin had a better skill set, but we didn't know if he could take Tank's power.
Yeah,
Tank walked him down. He was, I'll take 2 or 3 years if I can give you one of mine. Yeah. And that worked for Tank, as it did with a lot of his opponents. Just let me land, and I can, and it's a game changer. So, having said that, I was expecting about the same, if not more brutal, with him fighting Roach, because again, Roach was moving up in weight.
Yep.
But that fight really shocked me because Roach, and maybe that was the performance of his life. He may never touch that again. I don't know. However, because neither one has fought since. Mm-hmm. But that fight really, really shocked me because Tank had no answer, and Roach was, as you're a hockey fan, Roach was unconscious. You know what I mean? It was like he was unconscious. You know what I'm saying? They say he was unconscious what he was doing there. So that shocked me. But also just as much was the Shakur Zepeda fight. Because if you remember, if you can put your thinking cap on, when we talked about that fight, we knew we knew Shakur had the better toolbox. We knew he had a deeper toolbox. We knew he was the better pugilist.
Yeah.
What we weren't sure of if he would be able to sustain the pressures Zepeda was going to put on him. Would he be able to judge the real estate correctly, get in, get out? Because we knew he couldn't stay there long to battle with Zepeda because heavy artillery was coming back at him.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of times he won those exchanges. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he hurt Zepeda, but he stayed in the pocket more than I thought he would. He showed a lot more heart, determined, and grit than I really thought Shakur had. Just being honest with you, man. So those are the two that shocked me and why. But I'll be honest with you, that Conor Ben Eubanks fight was up there just as much. It was up there just as much with me, in my opinion.
Well, it's funny you said shocked because that was like our second question. What fight shocked us? And mine was Steven. The surprise was Eubank Ben for me. The shocker was Stevenson Zepeda for exactly what you articulated. It wasn't the fact that Stevenson won the fight. We thought he would, but we thought he'd box and dance and avoid him. He stood in the pocket, like you said, and he stood in there and was encountered, and he won the fight convincingly. I mean, it was not close on the scorecards. And for once, the judges were all in lockstep, and I agreed. It was a fun fight to watch, but statistically and on the scorecards, it was a landslide. That shocked me that Stevenson showed that much grit.
Yes, that was it. Grit. It wasn't the skill set. It was the grit. It was the grit. You know what I mean? So I get you on that. Now, when we're talking about what fight shocked me the most, Haney Brian Norman Jr. Listen to me. We were both okay. I'll be honest with you. I thought Norman was going to win that. Norman was the hotter fighter. Norman had his confidence, and I think that's what cost him the fight, and I'll get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Haney, just as sure as himself as Norman was, is as much as I think Haney was unsure of himself going into that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what shocked me the most was Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. And here's also why it shocked me. Second round, was it Norman walked into that? What, the left? Was it? He did, and he walked. And I say walked into it because he didn't come in off the line. He didn't come in with proper head movement. He didn't work his way, and he just wanted to. I'm in a bad neighborhood. I'm just going through it. I'm just going to run through the lion's den because he didn't respect. He didn't respect Haney, and Haney let him know this ain't for free. Now here's the crazy part. If he doesn't get that knockdown, because to me, your boy Norman was on quiz street from the second, at least through the sixth, maybe somewhere into the seventh. He was on quiz street.
Mm-hmm.
But never did Haney again really have him in trouble. Haney always looked like, if I can land this next one, I can get him out of there. but he never, to me, really had him in trouble.
Good
And
point.
that's where I'm also like, it shocked me because Haney, how he didn't go for the kill when he knocked him down in a second, he went hard to finish the round. But he, as in Haney, did not. He did not go for the rest of the fight for that hard kill. And because he, as in Norman, he was foggy. His feet were on Quiz Street. He couldn't get his bearings back, and that cost him in those rounds.
Yeah.
But to me, the way it went on from the third to the fifth is in the aspect of Haney didn't go for the kill. And a lot of those times, Haney was I don't want to say suspect, but he wasn't throwing as hard as you think a dominant champ, and not even a dominant champ, but a more sure fighter would have. So that's what shocked me.
Yeah, Norman, I'm looking at my scorecard for that fight. I had a 117, 110 Haney, but the eighth and ninth rounds, Norman started pushing it a little bit, but then Haney in those championship rounds found another gear.
But he was able to because he was able to get those points. He won everything through the second, through the sixth or seventh.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And it's weird because had he not done it, because I had Norman win in the first. I believe I had Norman win in the first. And only because he was more aggressive. Right? And then just speed is power. Haney never lost his speed. Right? And I think a lot of people, and myself included, because of where his mind was, we forgot Haney's still a hell of a pugilist. He's a hell of a fighter. He's top notch with a skill set.
Absolutely.
With the mental, you know how much it is mental. Think about when you've been working out sparring, not just hitting the bag, but you're sparring. Mm-hmm. Once you start getting tired, it's a completely different fight. Punches that used to hurt, that didn't hurt, are now hurting. Combinations that were easy are now no longer easy. Your gloves that may be 12, 14 ounces, now they feel like they're 4-pound gloves on you. You know what I mean? It's all mental. Mm-hmm. So mentally, I thought Haney was shocked because remember we talked about it. Haney's dad, Bill, was talking a lot of trash, a lot of garbage, but Devin wasn't. You know what I mean? And it's kind of weird now because you don't hear Haney talking as much trash. Even his dad now, you don't hear him. You know, after that big win, but I'm also surprised they haven't re-signed the rematch yet. So, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, then it's funny because I think there's a reason for that, and we'll talk about that later.
Definitely. I got you.
Yep. So, in your view, let's move on. What was the most disappointing fight of the year for you?
Daniel Dubois versus Usyk.
Good choice.
That was mine, man. And only because what was it, man? Second, what round did he take? Not second. What round did he take Dubois out in? It was early. It was pretty much, what was it?
Fifth round.
Fifth. But he, as in Dubois, I don't think he won a round. I didn't have him winning a round. I don't believe so. And I should have gotten my scorecard, but I didn't.
I had winning one round, but I had three the first 4 rounds. I had 3-1 Usyk, but I had asterisks next to the rounds, and the first, third, and fourth were very close.
Okay, so we could have went either way with you. Okay,
yeah,
but and it was disappointing because Dubois didn't do anything that we thought he would do. He didn't work the body. He didn't try to go from range. You know what I mean? To pop that jab, then come in with the body shot, gets out. He didn't do any of that. And it's like, again, these European fighters, whether it's Joshua, whether it's Dubois, you have so many of these guys from across the pond that a lot of times in their big moment, think about this. Dubois, in a big moment, had an impressive win against who? Joshua, who a lot of the time folds in big moments. The only reason Dubois didn't fold is because he fought a guy who does fold in Joshua. We've got tape that he folds a lot of time in big moments, you know, whether it's Ruiz, whether it's Usyk, he just, whether it's Dubois. Joshua does. He's built like a Greek god, a specimen, but his mental can't catch up with all. I don't know what it is, man. But to me, it was what was disappointing. And I hate to say the most disappointing fight. The fight as well as the fighter as in Dubois, but the fight, because I think we, the fans, were cheated because Dubois had the skill set, had the talent, age on his side. He should have been able to do more. And coming up, what Cousin Mato used to say, once you become a champion, you automatically get 30% better. I didn't see that from Dubois. I didn't see him with the crisper jab. I don't care if it had only been three rounds, he come out and looked phenomenal and then gets clipped. And then you see him fall off like Brian Norman did. That'd have been something different. And that's a separate entity all in itself. That's not what we saw. To me, Dubois didn't have any troubles. And even if you're, like you said, you had 3 and 4 as asterisks beside it. So technically, you could have given those rounds to Usyk. You could have given them to Dubois. The point is, you didn't have Dubois winning them. So that means Usyk was not in trouble. And that's a judgment call. I think it's a blue chip. I think it's a red chip. That's a judgment call. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why it, to me, was disappointing. We, the fans, got cheated. Dubois had everything rolling for him leading into that fight. And it was disappointing for me.
Yeah, I mean, and to get even an opportunity to get the IBF strap in the first place, and then to get the opportunity to unify it again. Yeah, I mean, that's a great pick. I have another fight, and I don't know if you'll agree with me or not, but it was from May 2nd. That was the Ring 1 Fatal Fury Times Square extravaganza, the co-main event, Devin Haney, The Dream versus Jose Ramirez. And holy shit, I would have thought Carl Lewis was in there because he was running and running and running. And that's why it ties into the shocking Norman Haney fight, because all of a sudden we saw the Haney we were hoping to see against Ramirez, and instead we saw a shell-shocked fighter who was afraid to get hit. And I know you and I both were like, man, he's mentally, it's almost toast over the Garcia fight.
Yeah, absolutely. But think about this, man. Now that you bring up a good point, okay. Norman won the first round.
Yep.
He, as in Haney, did not run against Norman in the first round like he did against Garcia. I'll admit, not Garcia.
Ramirez.
He didn't run like that, but Norman won the first round. Norman, because of no respect, not doing what he's supposed to do, gets caught, and I mean drilled with the shot. And because Haney knew he was on Quiz Street, Haney took some shots and stood in there a little longer than he normally would have. Because as the fight went on, he couldn't get him out of there. You saw Norman starting to come on a little more.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is this. If he doesn't catch Norman early with that shot, and we'll never know, how does that fight go? Because you didn't see a whole lot of confidence in round 1 against Norman.
No.
And it was almost like that left hook was being thrown as, I gotta get this guy up off me. I gotta just throw something to get him up off me. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that left hook, that knockdown, was the epitome of anything can happen when the leather starts flying.
Yeah, I agree. I obviously it would have been a much closer fight than 117-110 the way I saw it. Would he have even won the fight?
I know. We don't.
Well, that ties into, wouldn't that be great to see it again? Because it would be a nice fight to see. That'd be a very good fight to see.
And you almost wonder what is going on with that. Because between neither, we haven't been on the pod, but we send each other, clips and boxing clips or whatever it may be, or Twitter, whatever it may be. And I haven't even heard Norman called out Haney. Haney called out Norman for a rematch. I don't get it. So then I ask this question. Is Norman, I don't want to say mentally shot, but is Norman mentally, you know what? I do have something for that. I don't know if Norman fired his dad as his head trainer.
That just happened.
Yeah. So here's my thing. So were these guys as in Norman and his father, were they battling after the loss? And if that, because here's my thing, going into it, we never heard any issues about those two.
No.
But you have a loss to a guy who was a great fighter and still had all the tools. Don't take those away from Haney, right? No. Don't take his tools away from him. But you lose, and wow, you're jumping ship on your pops. I don't get that. He got you there. You know what I mean? So yes, it's hard for me to say now because I don't follow trainers like I used to. But years ago, you don't get rid of an Eddie Futch because you lost one fight. You don't get rid of an Angelo Dundee because you lost one fight. You don't get rid of Teddy Atlas because you lost one fight. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not putting Norman on that pedestal. But what I will say is that's your pops. That's family. How do you not rock with him after just that's one loss? I don't get it. And once you're watching, unless I don't know, man, because you have to see you walked into that shot. I don't know if you feel your dad was telling you don't respect him and they saw disagree. I don't know, because that'd be to me, Dad, I think I need to box him. No, you don't respect him. Walk through him. Let's intimidate him. Walk through him. He tries to walk through him and gets caught, and that costs him the fight. And then they start losing. I lost because of you. I don't know, but I don't understand why you jump ship on your pops that quick. That to me is weird.
Well, if it's an accountability issue, like you kind of alluded to, it's like, well, if we would have did it my way, I would. Well, then Brian Norman Jr.'s in trouble.
Yeah.
You've got to own what you did in that ring.
I would say that you're right. And normally I would agree with you 110%. But you also think about when you were sparring. I want you to go back into the gym when you're sparring. Mm-hmm. You could be sitting there and the guy that's watching you sees things you don't see. So if he calls out numbers like most fighters, the 4, 5, 6 and different, you don't hesitate. You just throw them because your coach, you've been rocking with him long enough, a guy who's training you, that I'm going to believe in what you say. I'm going to be able to believe in you see something I can't see because I'm too close in it. I'm in the mix. So on the one hand, I could see him saying, well, it was me, I ended up doing it. But on the other hand, you're like, if you're Norman, if that's what went down, that's not what I wanted to do, but I listened to you, I listened to my coach, and this is what happens. Then I don't, and neither of us knows because we're not a fly on the wall. We don't know. But I do I question one loss and you're jumping ship already. I don't get it, Drew. I don't understand it, man. I understand it.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because this is January 14th. We're recording this, and I think it just happened not even a week ago where they parted away. So interesting.
I would ask this. I know Bo Mac's about. If it's not Bo Mac, I'm trying to think of some other. If it's not Ennis, Boots Ennis, there, right? Who else is out there? And I'll be honest with you. Would going from Brian Norman, going from your dad to Boots Ennis, is that a parallel move, or do you think Boots is because Bo Mac is better? We know he's a better.
He's a great trainer. Yeah,
we get that. We get that. But would you? Because I would. I don't know, man. I'm not saying that Brian Norman is better than Boots Ennis, than the fighter. However, he was hotter, and that was with his dad. His dad, you know what I'm saying? Because we know what Boots can do, but we know what Boots can do. So I'm just wondering, is that a parallel move? If he were to go to Boots Ennis Senior, or not Boots, and if he were to go to Ennis Senior, you know what I mean? Bo Mac, without question, is better. And I started that all to say, I don't know who his trainer is now. I didn't read that much further in. I don't even know if he signed with one. Mm-hmm. But you have to get a clear-cut, proven trainer. You can't come with someone that's a maybe. You can't come with someone who held, Our Lady Sister Grace belt. You know what I mean? So if you're dropping your dad, it's got to be for somebody established, somebody for proven. It's a Buddy McGirt or somebody who has a few champions in their stable. Has to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's got way too much upside. He's young. He's very talented. He got one loss to Devin.
Yeah. So, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So which fight did you enjoy the most last year?
That now again because we're similar. That was Conor Ben Eubanks 1. That was Conor Ben and Eubanks 1, and I liked it because I didn't know what was going on. Now, don't get me wrong. 2 was good too. 2 was good as well, right? 2 was real good. Some people say candidate fight of the year. But why I liked 1 more than the second one, number 1, because as Eubanks took he went up 2 weight classes, 3 weight classes, whatever have you.
Ben went up. Let's see, he went from welterweight to middleweight.
Chris didn't go up. Conor went up.
Yeah, Conor went up.
Okay, you're right. Yep. Okay, so having said that, okay, I wanted to see who would win that when he's going up. But if you remember, when we were talking, I said, watching the fight, if Bennett had a better corner, he could have gotten that win. If Ben would have had a better corner, he could have gotten a win. And I don't know. And then now again, I don't know if Eubanks, because he got drained in the second fight, but I expected to see
second fight.
What's that, man?
He made weight in the second fight.
Yes, yeah. There you go. So my thing was, I like the first fight more because there was the rivalry. They're trying to fight for their pops. They're, you know what I mean? Oh, Ben's moving up. There's a lot of anger. There's real anger in this fight. It's not fabricated. It's not made up. This is true organic hate between each other. You know what I mean? So that's why that was my favorite fight. So, you know what I mean? That was the fight I enjoyed the most.
And I like that one. But the fight I enjoyed the most happened September 13th. Bud Crawford defeating Canelo Alvarez. And I say that not because it was necessarily the best fight I saw last year. It was a good one. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, we were blessed to see arguably the two best pound per pound fighters of their generation. Finally, even though we had to wait a little longer to see it. And even though Bud won the fight kind of convincingly on the scorecards, it was amazing to see the best versus the best. It was great to see the pound per pound guys going at it. Bud had to come up a couple weight classes to go at Canelo. He was extraordinary in that fight. It was a great fight. I loved seeing those two go at it. Like I said, would have liked to have seen it 5 years earlier, 4 years earlier, but I was still good with that. I was happy to see. That's one of the reasons why I liked last year as much as I did. Not as much as you liked, but I liked it a lot because we got to see fights like that. We got to see fights like Ben and Eubank. True, either pound per pound, let's get it on, let's use the best, or can't stand you. I'm not going to fight this on Twitter. We're going to fight in the ring. Yeah. So that I liked a lot. That's one. And the reason I like that fight was when's the next time we're going to see a Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez type fight? Maybe in 10 years.
Man, I know what you mean. Yeah. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. So I get it, and it's great, and I'm glad that we didn't go over this list first. I'm glad we did it. You know what I mean? So everybody can see all of our organic. And had we done it, we'd have probably changed some of our answers so we didn't have the same thing. But I'm glad we do, because as much as we have, in a lot of ways, have a similar eye for the sport and what we like and what we don't like, is the same reason. Well, we both like this fight, but for different reasons. We both didn't like this fight, but for different reasons. You know what I mean? So I'm digging that. So and I get how why you like Bud, and I'll be honest with you, because it didn't make my top 2 or 3 on what I enjoyed the most, only because, like you said, it's 4 or 5 years too long. That's what bothers me, and we've been on this. I don't want to get my soapbox. We've been on this. The fighters today aren't fighting remember when Tyson and Lennox Lewis was fighting? They had the name Tyson Lewis is on, right? Whatever have you. Remember, guys used to say undefeated fighters, somebody's O has got to go. Yeah. Nobody's doing that anymore now. Now guys are looking, I don't want to call guys tomato cans, but they're fighting lesser level just to keep that 0. Mm-hmm. And they want to fight on Twitter when, what are you doing? Get in the ring. You know what I mean? So it's different. And I understand guys may, I don't want to say faster, or whatever, they may look prettier, but I just don't, man. And we talked about it before. I do not think these guys in these weight classes can mess with the fighters of the 80s and the 70s in those exact same weight classes. And definitely, and if you go middleweight, lightweight, whatever, I'm going 80s, sticking around the 80s. You know what I mean? But I know if you go heavyweights, you like to go 70s. You know what I mean? So different weight classes. But to me, when you're going back, the guys are just they're approaching the game differently, the sport boxing differently. On a business aspect, the way they fight guys, trying to get rematches, fighting in Twitter, it's ridiculous, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Guys want to post pictures and videos and put on Twitter of them hitting the bag. Well, you remember the old movie Bloodsport, where, you know what I mean, Frank Duke's doing this and he says, very good. There it is. Very good. But Brick not hit back. You know what I'm saying? The bag's not hitting back. You're sparring with a guy. You're better than in these videos you're putting out. So it's just different to me, man. It's just different, man. It just is.
I won many a title hitting my bag.
There you go. Undefeated, Jack. Undefeated.
So at the end of the day, so that's the one you enjoyed the most as well, right? At the end of the day,
no. Well, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it because it was best against best. But I hated it because it made us wait too long. Just like Floyd in
Pacquiao.
You just made us wait too long, man. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? That is ridiculous. There's no reason we should still be waiting for the rematch for Garcia and Haney. Regardless of, there's no reason that should have happened. You know what I mean? Or should I say shouldn't have happened? It should not have happened that we're waiting this long. The rematch should have already happened. So the reason why that wasn't the fight I enjoyed the most was because it was so much past the prime. Because let's put it this way. Let's say we go back 5 years, hypothetically, because Bud was coming up top of his game then too, right? You guys were talking to him. So say you have this, Canelo's a weight class or two lower, as was Bud, but Bud could have made the weight, so there's not as much of a big a jump. But Canelo's speed is a little better.
Yeah.
Speed was a big part, and I understand skill set, footwork, popping a jab, moving, angles, boxing acumen. Canelo was significantly behind Bud on those, right? But Canelo has the heart of a warrior. He's a heavy puncher. He is going to stalk you and he will find you. But at this age, the mind wanted to, the body just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? The body just couldn't do it. And because he couldn't catch and land solid on Bud was able to move like that the whole time because he really couldn't pressure Bud. So Bud's gas tank at a heavier weight, biggest fight he'd ever been in. So just the anxiousness of those fights you've done it. You're sparring. And I understand it's only locally, but you're sparring a guy who's pretty good. So you get anxious. And because you're anxious, why am I breathing heavy one round in? I know my gas tank is better than this because that excitement takes some energy from you.
Yeah.
So he, as in Canelo, wasn't able to apply the pressure. So he, as in Bud, didn't have any of those issues on trying to stave off and get Canelo off me. You know what I mean? I didn't have to get on my bike as much. I could stay planted and almost fight in a phone booth a lot of the time because he didn't have to worry about really getting pressure, getting hit, whatever have you. So it was great, and I love seeing those two names get it on. But like you said, I wish it had happened about 5 years earlier.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, I was happy it did happen, and they not the top of their game, but pretty damn close.
Yeah. Oh, without question. See, here's the thing. Those two are still at the top of their game and better than 95% of the other fighters in that division. But they're not close to their best.
True.
That's what bothered me. You know what I mean? That's what bothered me. They're not close. They're not as close to their best.
Yep, I will not argue that. Okay, so what was your most disappointing moment of 2025?
Okay, and I had a couple, right? First thing here's honorable mention. Okay? That Jake Paul was able to get two legitimate boxers to sign contracts and actually go through with the actual fight, regardless of the outcome. He should have never been able to do that. Just stop and think. Just stop and think for half a moment, okay? Let's go with Lennox Lewis. He owed a belt. Tyson, Holyfield, Michael Moore, Foreman, Ali, Frazier, Ken Norton. Name me one of those fighters that you would have put a guy with one pro fight on his record that he lost into the ring with those guys after they had already run about. None of regular. Think about it. If you would have put a common guy off the street, no. You wouldn't even put a great local boxer, a boxer with a real record. Say it'd have been 5-6-0. You wouldn't have put a boxer 5-6-0, 5-0, 6-0 in the ring with any of those heavyweights I named back in their day. So the fact that this dude felt he could get, okay, you like movies like I do, right?
Yeah.
First, Fast and the Furious. Hey, just because you stand beside the ring don't mean you can box with Ali. Right? So just because you've had a couple fights don't mean you should be in the ring with a guy who's had a belt and is still in his prime physically. So that to me was disappointing, you know what I mean? And also the fact he's 6 inches, 7 inches taller, 100 pounds heavier than Tank, and he's trying to sell that as a legit fight. Come on, man, seriously.
And it blew up.
Yeah, that bothered me. But 1A and 1B, and I'll elaborate because I've taken more time than I wanted to, but I'll elaborate after you get yours. Disappointing. Tank didn't want the rematch against Roach. Tank, when he ran trying to fight Paul, did not. He talked about retiring, whatever have you. He did not want any other part of Roach, which speaks volumes to me. Right? Because most champs, when we grew up in boxing, they're trying to get that rematch on before they leave the arena that night. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that was disappointing. And being honest with you, someone who went from sugar to shit, excuse my language, Keyshawn Davis.
Oh, yeah.
Missing weight, and everything that went down, you're eating popcorn, after missing weight, just showing disrespect. You and your brothers get into an argument or fight backstage. This is in your hometown. You haven't been back since you got stripped from the belt in your first title defense. Those are both close to me, man. And I say 1A and B. The first one because of Tank. Everybody feared you in your weight class. You were a knockout guy, and then you truly get challenged, and now you run like a scolded dog. You didn't want that smoke.
No.
And then with my man Keyshawn Davis, because we both are big Keyshawn fans. We both like Keyshawn.
Oh yeah.
The way you acted, man, they didn't call you Thursday night. Hey, you want to fight Saturday in your hometown? No, you knew this was coming. You knew what the parameters were. You knew that you signed the contract, whatever have you. And they put that entire card around you and your brothers, man, and you just blew it in your hometown. That was me. That's me.
Those are really, really good examples. And I agree with you on all those. I had a different one.
Okay.
And this is kind of an all-encompassing one because of the hype around it. Turkey's gotten, he's got the ring. He's doing his thing. He's got Dana White with him. He's doing, and his first foray into it, Ring 1, Times Square outdoor fight, his big event. Let's call it what was a shit performance.
Yeah.
Excuse me, by Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, which ruined that rematch. Those two fights, the way Haney ran from Ramirez and the way Garcia got floored and quite frankly looked out of place in that fight against Romero. Horrible fights. I mean, props to Raleigh Romero. He kicked Garcia's ass.
He did what he was supposed to do.
And props to I don't like this fighter, but I will call it like it is. Theo Lopez was perhaps saved that card. He fought Arnold very well, and quite frankly, it set him up for his next fight coming up with Shakur. So
we'll talk about yeah.
So that card really disappointed me. Now they've since had other cards and they've been good, so I'm cool with it. But man, what a way to start! I mean, you're talking about hitting the ground, landing on your face. That happened.
Yeah. Now, I could see that one being a disappointment for you, but not. I don't put. I blame it on Turk, but not for the same reasons you were blaming it on Turk or using his name. I blame it on Turk because whoever did this had the imagination to do it at Times Square, but didn't have the foresight to think, one, what is this going to do? It's a spectacle. We have to have a tarp up, so it's going to look like a construction zone. People just walking by, which would have been great for Times Square. People sitting there watching it. Like you see people standing outside the big buildings. That would have been perfect, right? But they couldn't do it. Okay. Nobody who was promoting it looked up the ordinances to find us. And if they did and they still chose to do that, man, you should have done it at Central Park or something where you could add foot traffic to me. You know what I mean? So I can understand why you went with that because of the fighters, because that's on them. And I'll be honest with you. If I am Turk and Haney fought first. Haney fought before Garcia, I believe.
Yeah, he was. And a lot of people were saying that Haney fight should have been the main event.
Because I would have went to every fighter's log. I'd have went to every fighter's dressing room after the fourth round of that fight. Listen, if you guys run like he is doing, you will never, ever fight on my card again. You'll never fight on my card again. And again, not saying that the outcome would have been different between Rolly and Garcia, but we'd have had more action. Garcia would, you know what I'm saying? We'd have had more action. So I get, but I totally get it. Like I said, it didn't make my top three, but I get why you're upset with that. I get why I was the most disappointing with you. I get it. I can't even front and tell you I don't understand it, because I understand why you got that one there.
Yeah, lot of reason to be disappointed, but a lot of good reasons to be pretty happy with 2025. So let's turn the page now. We're going to 26. So let's talk about what fights are we looking forward to that we know are going to happen.
Okay, hold on, real quick. I know you gave it a 7.5.
Yep.
I gave it a 10.
Yep.
Why did you give it a 7.5? Use a word or a phrase. What made you give it a 7.5? And if you can elaborate on that for a quick minute.
I don't know if I can put a single word to it, but quite frankly, you gave a lot of examples why I did. You talked about what Ali or any of them, all those great champions been in the ring with a 5-0 guy. No. But I mean, let's call it what it is. Muhammad Ali also went to the WWF back in the day, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, and it's wrestling with Gorilla Monsoon. He was at WrestleMania 1 when he retired, but Gorilla Monsoon put him in an airplane spin and all that stuff. Great stuff. But that's the kind of performances Jake Paul puts on. Yeah, they do hit. Okay. But if anyone can tell me that Anthony Joshua needed 6 rounds to finally put Paul's lights out, no, we called it before. If that fight went more than 1 round, it was BS, and it was BS. Even though he broke his jaw in 2 places. Yeah, he should have did it 5 rounds earlier.
Yeah. Yes.
And
because
Oh, and then and I'll be honest with you, I'm more critical of like the social media shit maybe than other people are, but it's like I got so disenchanted with Tank running his mouth online all the time. And what did he do? I mean, hell, he got lucky getting that decision against Roach because he was technically knocked down. His glove nope, didn't. So that's a huge swing. That's a round swing and another. That's actually a 2-point swing. That's huge in any fight. So that kind of stuff just kind of it's like, and then you brought it up too. I really liked the Bud Canelo fight, but it was 4 years too late. So again, really good, but I couldn't give it a 10 because of that. That's what I'm looking. But 7.5, that's pretty good, man.
It is. And the only reason I gave it a 10, hopefully Paul got exposed. You have 2 fights against actual boxers and you lost them both. Right? Number 1, right? It was unexplainable what happened. How did Brian Norman get knocked down? You know what I mean? How that went down. Better Biev, all those guys. You know what I'm saying? So the Conor Ben and Eubanks, you had some guys that were, and like you said, Canelo and Tank. You got guys, whether it's Tank, whether it's Ben, you got guys jumping up in weight to do these fights, right? You know what I mean? Whatever have you. Ben jumped up, right? Or was it Ben or Eubanks?
Conor Ben.
Okay, Conor Ben. Conor Ben jumps up, right, in weight. These guys just wanted to bang. They wanted to fight. Crawford, he wanted to fight, so he's jumping up in weight. So you had that. Then you had your sideshows. I really do still believe that Turk is going to bring a lot to boxing. I really believe it. So I'm geeked about that. So when you add who's coming up in the game, right? Whether it's like when I say coming up a game, Turk, right? You have a lot of prospects in lower weights who showed some things. Figueroa, Stephen Fulton, all these, you know what I'm saying? So I'm liking that. Anyway, is he going to move up?
Mason.
Yes, Abdul Mason. So I love all that. Then the stuff that was going on, you said something real quick. Gorilla Monsoon and Muhammad Ali after Ali retired. And we knew that wrestling is wrestling. But Muhammad Ali didn't start going up and saying, I'm going to be heavyweight wrestling champ of the world. Because we knew at the, you know what I mean? Being back in the 70s, we knew, what are you doing? But Paul was talking like, I want to be champ. And they had the nerve to rank him in the top 15 at cruiserweight. He hadn't beaten one. Seriously?
No.
Come on, man. And that, to me, that is a smack in the face to all the legit cruiserweights out there.
Mm-hmm.
Put in time and got put into sweat equity. And this cat and I'm hoping that, and why this was a 10 was because I understand that WWF is still selling out arenas for SummerSlam and WrestleMania and all that. But nobody is looking at that and saying, wow, Brock Lesnar, whomever, could beat so-and-so and he's the toughest man in the world. Because Brock Lesnar ended up going to WWF when he started getting beat so much in UFC. Ronda Rousey went to WWF because she was losing so much now and starting to lose in the UFC.
Yeah.
But your boy was talking like he was still the dude. He was that dude.
Yeah.
You know, Paul, he's talking like he's that dude. And people were believing it. That bothered me, and I'm hoping that comes to an end. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the only reason I'm giving it a 10.0 or 10.0 or 10, because we had everything. We had excitement. We had disappointment. We had guys really make jumps. We had guys fall off. Whatever it was, man. You know, we had guys suspended where your boy Garcia was like, yeah, I failed a test. So what? I'm going over here and trying to make money. It got blocked, but he was trying to do that. You know what I mean? So we had a lot of everything. That's what made me give it. Not saying everything was positive, but because you had a little bit of everything, like a good soap opera, that's why I gave it the 10. That's why I gave it the 10.
That's a good comparison too, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Okay, so 2026, we got some fights coming up. We got to talk about this one coming up because this is on January 31st. The Teal Lopez, Shakur Stevenson fight. That's for the WBO super lightweight title in New York. Man, that is going to be, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yes. I am too. I'm really looking forward to that one because skill set for skill set, I still think going to give Shakur the edge as a better skill set, better boxer. But Teo is fast. Teo has his speed.
Yeah.
And with that, like we talked about, his speed is power. But I believe he has more power than Shakur right off the gate anyway, right? Mm-hmm. So my thing is this: how is Shakur? Because there's no way Teo is worried about Shakur hurting him. He's not worried about that. So I believe also he's going to come in, I don't want to say reckless abandon, but he's going to come straight at Shakur, I believe. Shakur was able to get away from Zepeda because we knew Zepeda was always going to be there. It is not hard to find Zepeda. He's always going to be in front of you. But I do think Teo can come with some angles. So I'm interested in this fight, man. I'm not saying Teo is going to win. I'm not saying Teo's the better fighter, but because he has a little bit more speed than a lot of the other guys, and he is a little bit better of a boxer than Teo's hot too.
Oh yeah,
Teo's hot too. So I'm interested to see where that goes. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
And then about a month later, you got Mario Barrios taking on Ryan Garcia.
Yep, that's one of my ones I'm interested in seeing too. Yep.
Now here's the thing, Barrios, he's the WBC welterweight champion, but we saw him fight Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
And
only good as your last performance.
Uh-huh.
Both have been shabby.
I mean, Barrios ended up getting he kept the belt. I had it a draw. But bottom line is that's going to be a really interesting fight depending on which version of each fighter shows up. Like, to your point, the last two, both their last fights were disappointments. Garcia lost, but let's see what happens here. And then you've got Muratalla against Andy Cruz for the IBF lightweight title, and that's actually next week on the 24th. Is Andy Cruz the real deal?
I know, and I'll be honest with you, that's not one that I had on what I'm looking forward to. It is up there, but it's not one that I had looking forward to. Your boy, I did have Nick Ball. Ball is that Nick Ball is one I do, but I only put 4 on here, right? And hold on for a second, man. Yeah, I put 4. Okay. One I'm looking forward to, and there's not a belt or anything on the line. The heavyweight sensation, Moses Atamu, Moses versus Franklin Jr.
Yeah.
Moses throws heavy punches. I get that. I know that. But Franklin's a little bit younger. So he shouldn't just stand in front of Moses like a lot of other guys do. Hopefully he can pop the jab. He has a little bit of speed. I don't see Moses losing, but on paper, this could be interesting. This to me could be interesting. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to that one. And
go on.
Yeah, my last one that I was looking forward to is Jermaine Ortiz versus Keyshawn. I want to see where is Keyshawn's head, because Ortiz is coming in like, I'm the man. Ortiz is ready, Freddy. Ortiz believes this is his fight to lose. So I'm interested in this one, man. I'm real interested in that.
And that's on the undercard of the Lopez Stevenson fight.
Yes. Yes. That's going to be a good one, man. That's going to be a good one, because Keyshawn has to. I don't care if he loses. He's got to look impressive. Because you can't have the second half of 2025 that he had and start 2026 on a dud and look bad. You know what I mean? You can't get knocked out. You cannot lose 116, 112, 117, or 116, You can't do that, man.
No.
Know, you have to be competitive. I don't care if you get a draw. I don't care if you lose a split decision. That means it could have went either way. But you have to come out and get the win. You have to be competitive and you have to look good. I don't care if you get the win, but you got to look good.
Oh, yeah. I got one more fight for you, and I think you'll like this one. On the 28th of February for the IBF and WBO Super Featherweight Championship, Navarrete against Nunez.
Ooh, now, do you think that fight is going the distance? We'll get into it later when the fight comes. Do you think it's going the distance is going to be the question?
Being pressed to give an answer, I would lean towards no.
I know. Now, here's the thing. Will it be a knockout or will it be a cut? Because there's going to be blood. There's going to be blood.
I don't see either of them getting KO'd, like knocked silly, but I could see a stoppage for sure. Whether it's
yeah. And not even because either one is hurt, but because they're just so tired and running out of gas. You know what I'm saying?
Get overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yes, there it is. There it is. So that I got that. So let me ask you this real quick before we whatever. Mm-hmm. We have who's already signed. Right, we could have went on because there's some more fights that we could have went on, and we didn't talk about the females. And not trying to be ignorant, there's not Clarissa Shields. There's nobody I'm really interested in seeing her. I know she's already signed, whatever have you.
Yeah, February, she's fighting here.
Yeah. Ryan, Ryan, I'm looking at her from Scotland, London. I can't think of her name, but Ryan is fighting. What fights do you want to see that haven't been signed yet? But who do you want to see? I narrowed this down to 3.
I've got a few things here. So what I'd like to see is folks need to pay attention because David Benavidez just jumped up to cruiserweight, and he's taking on Gilberto Ramirez for the WBO cruiserweight title on Cinco de Mayo weekend, May 2nd. Now, if he pulls off the win, and then it would be, I believe, an upset to go up to cruiserweight and beat a champion. Is he looking at Jaya Batia next to unify with the IBF title? That would make the cruiserweight division relevant again.
Yes. Has it been since
Holyfield?
Yeah, there you go. And you know what? I might as well do it because that's one. I limited it to 3 that I wanted to see. I limited it to 3. And I have as my second one, Benavidez. And I bet you, I'm not going to lie, I bet you 2. I don't know how many you put down, but I bet you 2 of these 3 you also have.
Okay.
The first one, Benavidez and Jaya Batia, we both have that one. And I'm real interested to see how if because Benavidez has some work he got to do yet. He's got some business he needs to take care of. Can he deal with Opajaya's distance? Can he deal with his length? That's gonna be how do you get in? Can he deal with the length? That's what I'm interested to see. If he can get there. And we've talked about this before, Drew.
Yep.
I hate when guys have another fight already lined up, or not that it would be lined up, but that's what they're talking about. I hate that. Let the fighter focus on this one, give 110% mind, body, and soul on this fight, then talk. You know what I'm saying? So but I do have. Now, my second one that I want to see, Boots versus Sergio Ortiz.
I have 4, you have 3. I have that one as well.
Okay, so let me ask you this real quick. Remember Ortiz wanted Boots, last year, the year before? Boots is like, nah, I made him wait. Now Ortiz is hot. Ortiz has said his ultimate fight is against Earl Spence. Why?
Yeah.
Why? That's in name only. There's no money in that fight. Forget about money. Say for sake of argument, it was families hate each other. Okay, I could see it. Say you guys had bad blood and he whipped you for pillar to post and amateur. And now it's a new day.
Mm-hmm.
Earl Spence is older. He's not the guy he was. He's coming off an embarrassing loss. We had an embarrassing loss too, and we don't know if he's the same. What is in it for Ortiz? Because you don't jump up in ranking by beating Earl Spence. You're not getting a huge payday. You're not getting all the kudos for beating Earl Spence. More can go wrong fighting Earl Spence than can go right. I don't get it. So I was hoping, can you tell me why you see that fight? Why would he? I don't get it.
I don't believe it. I think he's using his,
don't believe?
Oh, I think he's using his name as leverage to get Boots to sign, and it's obvious there's still. I mean, if Boots wanted to fight, it would have been done already. And they both have interim titles now, mind you. Neither is actually the actual champion. The WBC and WBA interim titles. Ortiz WBC and Boots has the WBA. I have in parentheses here. I don't believe this will happen, but I think this has more of a shot of happening than the other two I have on my list. But we both have those two. But I just think he's trying to leverage Boots with a name. And
here's my thing. Mm-hmm. Earl's 35. He's going to be 36 in March. Ortiz is 27. I don't get it. I just don't get it. So I just don't get how is. And again, he, as in Spence, has not fought since 23 in his embarrassing loss. He got beat up against Terrence.
Well, now let's look at it through our 2026 lenses here versus our fandom lenses from the 80s and 70s, right?
Okay.
People are paying big money to see Jake Paul fight.
So you're right.
When you look at it that way, we're giving 10th place ribbons to our kids just for showing up to a little league game. I mean, awesome. Yeah. But it's wrong. But people are going to eat it up. They hear Earl Spence Jr. They go, "Oh, hey, I know that guy."
Do you think
they're watching Jake Paul fight? They're watching Jake Paul fight.
But do you think those Jake Paul people know Errol Spence?
Good point. No, they don't.
That's what I'm saying, because that's where, on one hand, I was riding with you because you were talking about how Paul's making money, but then you are who you are, Drew. You're a boxing guy at heart. So you're talking about Errol Spence. You know the name. You know what I mean? So you'll still want to see him fight 30. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if these Jake Paul YouTuber type people, because there were people that honestly thought he could beat Anthony Joshua. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. So I don't know.
You fight your battles with a keyboard, you can beat anybody.
I know. And it to me is and then you figure Earl Spence, like I says, 35, Boots is 27. No, Boots is 28. Virgil Ortiz is 27. Both right there in the thick of things. I say they need to get that on. They need to get that on.
They do.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're but 127, 128. You've got still a good 3 to 4 years where they can still be in their prime. Mm-hmm. But you also have 3 to 4 years. Guys can get other fights. Other guys can come up. Somebody can lose. Strike while the iron's hot, man. What are you doing to me?
I think Boots' camp, this is just my opinion, doesn't think that there's enough heat from Ortiz's name to the general public. To boxing fans, we all know Virgil Ortiz Jr.
I got you.
So they want. Now I agree with you. Errol Spence Jr. That's not. He would need to have an impressive performance on a tune-up fight to be able to get into something like that, in my view.
Yeah. So let me ask you this real quick. Having said that, do you think Boots' camp is a bit narcissistic? And I say that because Boots, 3 years ago, hottest thing since sliced bread. 2 years ago, hottest thing since, you know what I'm saying? No, I'll go 3 years. But Boots has been he gets hit a lot. He's been starting to take criticism. So do you think Boots and his team are still reading his press clippings from 3 years ago? Because Virgil Ortiz is hot now, man. He's hot. So whether Boots goes in there and wins decisively, ekes it out, yes, I do still think Boots is the better pugilist, the better fighter.
I agree.
Once those young cats start throwing that leather, it's hard to tell. And again, Ortiz is hot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know if Boots is feeling himself. I don't know, big dog. I don't know, brother. I don't know.
Did you have any other fights you were looking for?
Well, yeah. My last one, without question, is Haney and Norman rematch. I want to see that.
Okay, I got a different one. But
okay,
I like that one.
We have to see that rematch, and for all the reasons I spoke about earlier. Norman, you need to know, was that for real or did I get caught? That happens in this sport. You don't play boxing. That's what happens when you're not on your game. That's what happens when you don't answer the phone. That's what happens when you don't stay in the pocket and you just come in recklessly with reckless abandon. But if you're Haney, you can ride this wave as long as you want because I've beaten you. I don't need to prove it again. But if I'm Norman, you need to be hassling him. You almost need to do like Shannon Briggs did to Klitschko. And or remember when Riddick or Lennox Lewis kept showing up at the press conferences for Riddick Bowe and calling him Chicken Bowe. You might have to. If I'm Norman, I'm going old school to get this cat back in the ring. I'm going old school, and it's not even a thing about money. Pay me what you paid me last time. I don't need more money in the rematch because once I win this one, I'll make it back on the back end. You know what I'm saying? Or set up the contract to where I get this. But if it's so many pay-per-views, if I get a knockout within X amount of rounds, I get more. Do something. Just get him in the ring. That's me.
I love that fight. I'd love to see that happen. I had Haney Garcia too. That I'd like.
I'd like to. And here's the thing. Don't forget, I talked about that when we talked about we're rolling. We'd already talked about that. Mm-hmm. And if, and you had said their performances had killed that rematch. Mm-hmm. But if Haney did not come out and just nice left hook, I mean, nice. And the crazy part about it was, and I think it was still because of his mental dexterity or his mental fortitude, he was able to stay in the fight, as in Norman. Mm-hmm. But also, you could tell it was a cobweb because there was only about 3 or 4 more times where Haney barely missed on that left hook again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'd like to see what, how long is he going to work with his new trainer? What made you choose this guy? You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. Because again, you're going into off a loss. Does he take a tune-up fight? Again, you may want a tune-up fight with your new trainer to see how you guys rock in real time and real life, when bullets are coming back. But you can't really jump up too tough because if you lose, then you do lose that money in the rematch. But you don't want to just take it to Medican because if you take it to Medican and you get him out of there in 2 rounds and you didn't really test yourself, you didn't get the sweat equity, you didn't get the rounds, you didn't get the minutes. You know what I'm saying? So it's a balancing act. Yeah. But I want to see Haney and Norman. That's me.
I love that. And I got one more because I'm hearing a lot about it. I'm not saying I think this will be a great fight, but I think it'll be an interesting fight, is Usyk versus Wilder. And the reason I say that is because we thought we might see Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua, but Joshua, I believe, has retired after that unfortunate accident. But I'll be honest, I'm not sure he was going to fight again after that Jake Paul fight. I'm not sure. He probably would have, because this would have been a huge payday. I don't know. I don't believe Fury has a path back out of retirement because who's he going to fight? Usyk again? That's not going to happen.
I know.
Who's he going to fight? Wilder a 4th time? No. But they want to put Wilder in the ring with Usyk. I mean, do I think Wilder will win that fight? No. Do I think he has a puncher's chance? Yeah, I actually do. And I think it's a dangerous fight, not just for Usyk, but for me, for the division. Because if Wilder were to somehow catch him after the performances he's had over the last 5 years,
yeah.
Oh shit! now you're unified champ. Well, not unified because of course the WBO stripped Usyk of his, which that's BS. But anyway,
let's not even get into that.
But what would that do to that division? I think there's a lot of drama, not so much around the fight itself, but around the ramifications of if somehow Usyk loses. Wow, it's up in the air.
Well, Drew, we've talked about this, bro. In fact, no Americans in the top 10. Crazy. And your top guys, whether it was Fury, whether it was Usyk, whether it was Parker, Xiao Zhang, you had some of these top guys in heavyweights that are 40 or over, or damn near 40. That's ridiculous. Now, he is in Wilder, does have a puncher's chance because he still throws a heavy right hand. Usyk is not hard to find. Usyk's not hard to find, right?
No.
However, even when he tried, Wilder's jab is ugly. It's ugly. He doesn't have, you know what I'm saying? So it's a puncher's chance and a puncher's chance only. But again, he, as in Usyk, was able to deal with Fury's length. So I don't think we'll have a problem with Wilder's length.
No.
However, that right that comes back from Wilder is significantly different than what was coming back from Fury. Now, let's not forget, Fury could dominate you with that jab. Just flick the jab. He wouldn't hurt you, but he could flick the jab, flick the jab, flick the jab. You have to make sure your head is on a swivel. You're answering the phone. You have to do all those things against Wilder because he's still, and let's not get it twisted. Wilder's losses were to other big, tall guys who had jabs. Usyk is not that. That's not Usyk. He's going to have Usyk by at least a good 4 to 5 inches. You know what I mean? So,
and you know what I kind of like it about Usyk a lot is he's a southpaw, but he really doesn't fight like a true southpaw. He has almost almost like a, you know, I mean, like, and you've done martial arts a lot. When you punch, a lot of it's like straight on, and that's what he does a lot. He's like this.
Yes, so, but I would tell you, most fighter, but that's also a knock to me on today's fight game. You know it. You don't ever want to stand. One of the greatest things about James Toney was he's not standing in front of you. He's not giving you a lot to hit.
No.
Usyk gives you everything to hit. Nobody's been able to capitalize on it properly because, again, that's what we're dealing with now. But you put him at the same size as Tyson, Frazier, you know what I'm saying? These other smaller heavyweight. No, he would have never lasted. They went right to that body because he's so squared up. So I want to see it too because those are the names in the heavyweight division. But believe you me, we're not going to look at that like we did Tyson and Lennox Lewis, Holyfield and Tyson and whoever, or Holyfield and Bo and Holyfield. And when you talk about a puncher's chance, do we see that any more than when George Foreman knocked out Michael Moore? You know what I mean? And that's what it is. He has that type of power. He really does. He has that type of power. So we'll see, man. We will definitely see.
It's going to be a great year coming up. Looking forward. I'd love to call this year a 10. I'd love to do that. And I think we're starting out right because I can't wait to talk about that card with Lopez and Shakur headlining that one.
And you think about it. We could have easily picked 10 fights that are already booked that we're looking forward to for 2026. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't talk about Inoue. Is he going to fight Nakatora? I can't think of the guy's name, but Inoue, is he going to fight? You know what I'm saying? What's going to happen with Stephen Fulton? Fulton looked pretty good in 2025. What's he going to do? Is he going to capitalize on 2026? Is he going to jump a little bit? As much as I like Farmer, another Philly guy, he took a step back. You know, he had some wars and he took a step back. Will he try to bounce back and get one last payday? I don't know. Tim Tszyu, is he coming back? You know what I'm saying? I almost called him Costa Tszyu. Tim Tszyu, is he coming back? What's going to happen? Now, I'm not saying he's going to be on anybody's radar to look for a belt or next fight or two, whatever, or he's going to be a big draw. I don't know. But he fights and he bangs. You know what I mean? So we'll see, man. I'm interested in 2026 myself. I really am.
Definitely can't wait to talk more sweet science with you. And also, we've got to touch some MMA this year, too. We got to get back into that. Definitely. UFC, it's going to be fun to go into Paramount Plus now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and they're making a grip on that. And it stinks because the card coming up the 24th, you had Justin Gaethje versus Patty Pimblett. It's gonna be a good one. And you also had the Lioness, Amanda Nunes, however you pronounce it, coming out of retirement to fight the current champ, which everybody wanted to see, Kyla Harrison. Harrison just busted up her neck.
Oh.
Fights off. Yeah. Fights off. So, but there's some more things lined up, you know what I mean? And we'll definitely get into some MMA. But this, to me, was the year to review unboxing. I'm glad we did it, man. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad to be back, you know, back on our grind, back on whatever, and bring some people bigger and better content. Again, you know, don't forget to like, subscribe. You know, we try to give, and also, I didn't put you have Drew's handles, whatever have you. Do not hesitate to reach out to him, whatever have you. Send us a letter or excuse me, send us a message. We'll let you and ask us questions. We're down for whatever. You know, we're down for whatever, man. So it's good. And I'm hoping we can also maybe do something live. You know, maybe we watch a fight and do it live, let people talk on TikTok, whatever it may be. But I got a lot of things for 2026, man, to get us out there and get more fans. But I'm ready to rock and roll, brother.
Can't wait to do that. He's Chops. I'm Drew. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like Chops said, and hit that like button. Follow us on Twitter, X, Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're going to be putting out content every week. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. We will talk to you soon. Thank you for watching the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. You can find us on the ESEN network on the Roku app every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time beginning on October 4th, 2024. Check us out on Twitter X. Our handle is @HeySubPod, capital H, capital S, capital P. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode. Just go to your web browser and type in www.youtube.com/@Haymakers and Submissions podcast, as we will drop content weekly. Whether it's boxing, MMA, or wrestling that gets you fired up, you'll get all you need right here at the Haymakers and Submissions podcast.